My name is Kai Howlett, and I will be presenting the historical court case of Tinker versus Des Moines. During the Vietnam War in the United States, 16-year-old Christopher Eckhart hosted a meeting in his home with a few friends, resulting in the idea of protesting against the war to end it by wearing armbands. The high school Christopher attended, Des Moines High School, later found out about the meetings and decided to threaten suspension if Christopher Eckhart had went through with this idea of wearing armbands to protest against the Vietnam War, because this could be a distraction to students amongst the school. Mary Beth Tinker, Chris Eckhart, and John Eckhart were all suspended amongst the idea of bringing the armbands to school because they decided to go through with their plans and their meaning regardless. And this resulted in suspension, which resulted in a very, very political protest and mindset for the families. So, with the parents being upset, the parents decided to take the situation to court to protest their their children's First Amendment rights being taken away due to the fact that they couldn't um, protest what they thought about the war. The plaintiff, being the families, decided to sue for their right of their First Amendment right of freedom of speech and freedom to express themselves being taken away. Decided to argue their point because they believe that protesting this in a calm manner was not necessary for a school suspension. And the defendant, being Des Moines High School, decided that it was best to take action for this cause because the armbands were a distraction for many students that attended Des Moines High School. This case went to the Supreme Court because many people struggled speaking their minds out through school early on in this time during the Vietnam War. And protesting through schools or speaking your mind religiously or expressing yourself within school was not very often and not very done. So this was a new factor for many for the Supreme Court. The court agreed to hear it because they wanted to hear out the children on their side because they believed that protesting with the armbands was necessary or could have helped with the war. The constitutional question raised by the participants mainly regarded the First Amendment rights being taken away. The Supreme Court argued that the students' First Amendment rights shouldn't, and the students and the teachers' First Amendment rights should never be taken away from the gates of the schoolhouse because everybody is all equal and same. Everybody should be fairly treated even past the schoolhouse gate. With a 7-2 decision, the Supreme Court decided that the Tinker and the Eckhart families were in the right and they won the court case overall. They decided this way because the families were very strong for speaking their minds out against the war and protesting what they wanted to protest against the school. And the school taking this amendment away from them gave them the fair chance to argue their point even more. Many dissenting opinions resulted amongst other people just agreeing with the armbands being a distraction and an unnecessity for the school. Not many, but a few students were offended by the armbands being showcased at the school. The concurring opinions are mainly different from the majority opinions because the majority opinions see past just the armbands being a distraction. They also see what rights the students still have and what rights they have used and what rights they could have used and how they used them. And with the protests being in a calmly manner, it was unfair for them to be suspended because they weren't distracting many people. The district court also concluded that the actions of the school was reasonable because they were based upon fear that the protesting could lead to other problems, but the Supreme Court still argued that the school shouldn't have took the children's rights away out of fear. Many things could be done out of fear, and that was not necessary. This case is very significant because it changed a lot in our humanity, and it saw upon how much of a voice that students have going to schools now. And a lot of kids freely can say, do what they want. For an example, a lot of students don't have to force themselves to stand up and praise the flag of America if they don't respect the flag, for a reason being they don't respect how America does something specific. Since situations like this are often oversought, I've interviewed two high schoolers and an adult on their opinions about a situation like this, and I put them in a perspective where they would be in these shoes, where they could learn and see past if the simple right like this will be taken away from them. Who am I speaking with right now?
Hobby.
Javi. All right, Mr. Javi. What is a right that you value at school?
A right?
Yeah. Like a right to own something or say something, do something?
I guess the freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech, okay. And what if this right was taken away from you? How would you feel?
I mean, I feel like I wouldn't be able to talk.
Who am I speaking with right now?
Caleb Day, class of 2024.
Yes, sir. All right. What is a right that you really value to have at school?
Probably the Chromebooks, because I'm broke. You know, not like having a laptop that the school provides is a very good utility to use.
Okay. If this right was taken away from you, how would you feel?
I would be very upset because then I have to go out and buy a laptop, and most of them now cost at least $250.
All right. Thank you. Who am I speaking with today?
Kendrick's Howley.
What is a right that you personally enjoy?
Oh, I mean, working from home, being with my family, traveling.
If these rights were taken away from you, how would you feel?
It would sadden me.
Okay. What would you do to retaliate for these rights if they were taken away from you?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't retaliate because as people and citizens, you must obey the law in the local and state and federal government. But what I would do, I would try to voice my opinion, maybe in a voting matter, to make changes. But I wouldn't do anything outrageous.
How old are you?
I'm 49 years old.
All righty, thank you.
You're welcome.